Happy Sunday night, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I am Scott Jenstad, joined as always on Sunday nights by Jeff Erickson. If you could please rate review the podcast, that'd be fantastic. Not only the podcast, we're joining you on Facebook Live, StreamYard, everywhere else. Where else? Jeff, Periscope on Twitter. We're all kinds of places live. So if you have any questions or anything comes up, you want to hit in the comments, please do that. We are sponsored by WynnBET. We appreciate them for that. That's WYNN Bet. Just so in case you spell that, we appreciate their sponsorship. Jeff, we finally got a crazy and fun fab period. We will get to that in a second, but how are you on this evening?
I'm doing good. I'm really good. I'm posting a link right now, so if it looks like I'm not looking at it, it's only because I'm posting a link for more people to jump in here with us. But no, I'm great. I'm about to be really old, so I'm excited. I'm actually in a good mood about that. And even though I'm Manoah-less, at least today, I'm still in a good mood. It was a good weekend.
Yeah, happy birthday, first of all. It's beginning tomorrow, right?
Yeah, and on the East Coast, it's already there. But yeah, I'm officially half a century. So
you were probably born in Central Time, I'm guessing.
I was. So therefore, in 1 minute,
right about now. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Cool.
Although I don't think that was the time of day. I don't know what time of day it was, really. Believe it or not.
You know what time of your day you were born?
No, I don't. I guess that's not important, but
I was 11:02 a.m. So I'm sure you were really worried about that.
Yeah, I was. And you're what, 39?
I'm 39. Been 39 for a while. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, good. Yeah, but no, and hey, the Reds won. Luis Castillo didn't pitch today, so that was good. It was Tyler Mahle instead.
He's just painful.
Yeah.
I've just resigned myself to the fact I'm going to throw him every week, and it's going to be painful. But, it kind of was almost okay this week, or the second start. Or I guess it was just one start against Chicago, and then he just kind of blew up. Of course, the bullpen came in and gave up his runs. It's just everything go wrong for Luis Castillo so far this year pretty much has. It has 7 losses in a row. Just he's I know win-loss record nobody really cares, but he's 1-8. That's not great.
Yeah. It's well earned. It's not like he's unlucky or anything like that.
This is not a Jacob deGrom 1-8. This is a legit earned worst ERA in baseball among qualified starters 1-8.
Yes, that's right.
So let's talk about baseball. If I want to talk about first off the top, Joe Musgrove today. Was getting ready, looking at my teams. He had 2 starts next week. All of a sudden, I look up. The Padres are down 6-0. Blake Snell gets lit up, and they brought in Musgrove for the last 5 innings of the game. That seemed really weird to me to blow 5 innings of one of your better starters in a game you're down already 6-0.
Yeah, I don't know what his options were. So Snell was terrible again. Twice this week he was terrible. We're going
to talk about him later too.
Okay, yeah. So he's basically the Luis Castillo that needs a little more steroids to catch up to Castillo, but
not far off though.
Not far off at all. But they played an extra inning game on Friday. They played an extra inning game on Saturday. And not just 1 inning, like multiple innings of extra innings. They've really burned through a lot of their bullpen. And they have starters that don't go deep. Dinelson Lamet went 4 innings on Friday. And it's not just starters that don't go deep. It's a manager who doesn't let starters go deep. Yeah. And I think that's really the issue here. It wasn't today. I'm not saying it was wrong to yank Snell. It's just they're already overworked though. And this is a feature, not a bug with Jace Tingler. And it's catching up to them. I mean, it's not win-loss record-wise, it's not. But, they're going to burn out guys. Pomerantz has been hurt for a while. Morejon is out for the year. They're in a problem. It's a problem for them right now. And you can only have so many arms that they can go through. I mean, Mackenzie Gore just got scratched at AAA with a blister, and he hasn't been pitching well either. So they're starting to run out of options. I don't even know what they're going to do for tomorrow.
Yeah, they got 7 games this week, so there's not like they have any off days coming up. My problem with it is, you're going to pitch him tomorrow anyway. I'd rather start a clean game with Musgrove than have him come in 6-0. And he threw 5 short innings. It was essentially meant nothing. They almost came back. I guess maybe he was thinking they'd come back and win the game. They score a lot of runs. That's fair, but I just think if you're gonna have 5 or 6 innings of Musgrove, give that to me the start of the game Monday, and I'll figure out random bullpen arm A and just give up that game today. It seemed really odd. I think they're going to go. It looks like maybe they're going to go Paddock tomorrow now, and then Weathers, Lamet on. So they go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But the thing with the Lamet is, like you mentioned, he went 3 innings last game. He hasn't gone more than 3 innings yet. So you know that Wednesday is essentially a glorified bullpen game. You get 3 innings, then you got 6 innings of bullpen, and Weathers doesn't go deep either. It's just I don't know.
Having them back to back too. I mean, that's the thing.
Back to back. It's
the longest Weathers has gone is 5 2/3. That was April 22nd. Since then, 1 inning in relief, 3 innings, three innings, 4 innings. I mean, that's bad. It's really bad. And the thing is, he's managing it like it's a do or die playoff game. Yeah. And I get it's really important to win the West, but it's not.
But you're down 6.
You're not going to win.
You're down 6-0 to the Astros. Not you're down 6-0 to the Rockies. We're going to score 6 runs next inning anyway. But you're down 6 on the Astros. It's just, it made no sense to me. Especially when you didn't have a game tomorrow and you could figure it out. But you had a game tomorrow. Musgrove's going to pitch. Like, give me those innings when it's 0-0. I know I said that before, but it's just, it made so it's our friend, the Brock Ness Monsters in the chat saying they had an 8% chance to win. That kind of proves my point. Like, why you have an 8% win probably at that point. Like, you start the game tomorrow, you probably have what they're playing the Cubs, probably a 55% win probability. We start the game. They're a better team. They got the best record in baseball. I don't know. It seemed like a really odd move to me to blow 5 innings of Musgrove in a game that you were getting killed already.
Yep, that's right. That's right. And it just ruins us this week. I mean, it just stinks. And honestly, I'd rather face the Cubs than the Mets right now. And it's weird to say because the Mets have 20 guys on the IL, but they're getting some of those guys back this week.
Yeah.
And the Cubs are Rizzo-less right now. Not that Rizzo against Musgrove is a matchup I fear, but it's just they're down Bote, they're down Nico Horner. They're down right now. This is not a good lineup.
And we're going to talk when we get to news and notes, but there's a lot of guys that sat all 3 games this weekend or last 4 games, last 5 games. The team doesn't put them on the IL. It's a little bit strange between Jazz Chisholm and Rizzo and Laureano and Manny Machado. There's just a lot of guys that they didn't pull the trigger on IL and they missed a lot of games. It was a weird weekend of games missed. We'll get to news and notes in a second. At the top, though, I guess we got to talk about real quick yesterday's news, Marcell Ozuna. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but from a fantasy angle, we got to talk fantasy here. Full drop, right? Like, I don't think he's playing another game for the Braves this season.
He may not play another game.
Yeah, that's very fair. But in a redraft league, like we're talking about most of the time here, I just think he's a full. If I had him, it would have been a drop on any team I own right now.
Yep, and I did drop him in the one league. I have him in an online championship.
And he was obviously out with the injured hand, and it was kind of a borderline keep anyway. But I was keeping him for that just because he's so good. But I think now it's an across the board drop.
Yeah, I think so.
Probably for multiple reasons.
Yeah. There's not much else to say about that. It just hasn't gotten better. It's gotten worse. It has gotten worse. But let's jump into before we do Fab and Alek Manoah madness. Let's jump into Week 10 real quick. A lot of games this week. I think there's 99 games or something like that. I saw that in Todd Zola's pitching value meter this week. But 16 teams with 7 games. The White Sox have 8 games. They have obviously 2 of those are 7 innings, so they play a doubleheader. Toronto's the only team with 5. This is a pretty big week for 2-step starters. A lot of offense. Should be a fun week as long as we get the weather to cooperate. We had a lot of rainouts on the East Coast this weekend. You preempted my comment. In fact, just like the weather preempted these games.
Yeah, it's terrible. I hate it.
4 on Saturday, 4 on Friday, 1 yesterday, and 2 today. And those 2 obviously today didn't get made up.
And one was Sunday Night Baseball. There was no Sunday Night Baseball. It was weird. I turned on ESPN to Sunday Night Baseball and there was no game. I was like, oh, I guess we'll watch basketball then. Well, and as it turns out, that helps me concentrate on my bids a little bit better. Probably me too. Yeah, although you wouldn't know by the results, but yes, it allowed me to focus on that, which I needed. Look at some good schedules. We have the Rockies are home all week. They get 3 against Texas and 3 against Oakland. I just don't know how this Rockies offense is. I mean, just because they go to Coors, I don't know if they're going to score. Obviously, Trevor Story's out. Charlie Blackmon had a good game today, but this Rockies offense is rough right now. It is. And, coming into today, they'd scored 7 runs in their last 10 road games. Think about that for a second there. 7 total. They got shut out in a doubleheader by the Pirates yesterday. Yes. Who are the Pirates? Now, Brew Breaker has been fine, but the point remains. It's the Pirates. That's as bad. You don't score in 2 games against the Pirates. That's about rock bottom right there. Yeah. But owner of the year, Charlie Monfort. No pun intended. Yeah. And, it as much as, we want to blame the GM, which he earned a lot of that blame for alienating Arenado. The rot starts all the way at the top with the owner. And I think rot part 3, I think Burdich deserved his share, but I think we have to look at Bud Black a little bit too. I know he's giving some inferior, ingredients to cook with, but at the same time, I don't like how he's mixing them in there either. You wonder how many of those ingredients didn't grow because they got stunted over the last couple of years, though. Like, you think if some of these guys just got full-time at bats the last couple of years, you wonder if it would look any different. Maybe not. I don't know. I think but you see someone like Ryan McMahon, who's he's probably gonna be the all-star on that team now. The story's hurt. He's having a really good year, and you just wonder if they just let him play a couple years ago, what it would look like right now. Maybe it would be better. I don't know, but he's obviously a really good player, and fine, they're playing him every day. But they're a frustrating franchise with that stuff. Yeah,
and now of course Story's out, so at least that will force them to play Brendan Rodgers, but they were jerking him around earlier in the week. Yep. 2 games on, 2 games off. I get Story, McMahon have to play, right?
Right. But does Josh Fuentes have to play?
No, he doesn't. Yeah. And that's the point I've been arguing.
Yeah.
And CJ Cron is not, sat out today, and he hasn't been playing great. He had an awful week, but he should be playing pretty much every day. Yeah, I get it. Tapia's been in a bad slump. He broke out of that a little bit today, though. So we'll see. Just in time for him, an off day and then 6 home games.
Yeah. Some other schedule, I like Minnesota a lot this week. They have 3 at Baltimore, 4 at Kansas City. That's a really good hitting week. Even though they're on the road, at Baltimore, KC against some bad pitching is really good there. The Royals offense actually is 3 against Pittsburgh, 4 against Minnesota, the aforementioned Twins. Obviously, no Kenta Maeda for them. That's a really good hitting week too. The A's have 3 at Seattle, 3 at Colorado. That's a really good hitting week too. I think if you have any A's, you want to get them in for this week, even though they have 6 games.
Yeah, so here's the borderline one for me. Mitch Moreland came off the IL. He's going to hit against every righty, but in Coors Field they're facing 2 lefties.
Well, he's not going to play those games anyway, I don't think, with no DH.
You know what? I'm so dumb. You're right. You're so right. We picked him up, but I don't know if we picked him on 1 or 2 mains. And
I think the first half of the week, I think it works. You got 3 against Seattle, you got 2 righties. I think that probably works. You probably get 2 full games and a pinch hit in the Tuesday.
It's just so weird though. Oh, he's got a Coors Field series coming up. Better bench him. But you're right. You're 100% right.
I think maybe he plays a game, but the problem is he can't. Where does he play? Like if you're like, they're facing a righty, you can play first base for a game, but you're not going to sit Matt Olson in Coors against a righty. So that's the problem.
Right. Put Matt Olson in right field. Yeah.
Good Lord. Yeah. Let's not do that.
Yeah. Let's not.
Let's not give them any ideas.
Yeah. By the way, so that makes me think of Chris Davis. And by the way, Chris Davis might actually be worse than Elvis Andrus as a hitter this year.
Chris Davis, I don't know what happened to Chris Davis that one day in Pittsburgh when he ended the wall, but he literally transformed into a different human that day. It's crazy how bad he's been since that moment.
Yeah, I did talk Shu out of trying to bid on Elvis Andrus in one of our 2 mains, though, because
he's warming up a little bit. I think he hit like 400 this week.
Yeah, and you know how many runs an RBI has combined?
Well, he's hitting 9th, so probably not very many.
18.
Yeah, you can't play the guy hitting 9th.
No homers.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Shu's like his last homer was last year.
I watch all their games. I can't remember him coming close to a homer, actually.
No, he's a total slap hitter.
Yeah, his doubles are like down the line or maybe in the gap, but he used to pull some balls out in Texas. He does nothing like that anymore.
No, he's pretty much empty.
It's not great. Astros have a good week too. I mean, they obviously hit anyway, but 4 at Boston, 3 at Toronto. It's gonna be a lot of it. Those are both really good series. They seem like the Astros always are playing someone fun. They play the Dodgers and the Padres this week. They play the Red Sox and the Blue Jays next week. That's gonna be those all be really fun series. I was just randomly looking at stats in May, just out of nowhere here because we're talking about Toronto. The 3 leaders in runs scored in all of baseball, not just the AL, all of baseball in May. All 3 of them were Blue Jays.
I'm not surprised. They're out in Dunedin, though, but they're now in Buffalo starting this week.
I think it was Semien, Bichette, and Vlad. I think it was like 23, 22, and 22 or something. That was before today, but crazy that the top 3, you think somebody else would have snuck in there, but it was all Toronto guys, which is pretty wild. We mentioned Mitch Moreland going to Colorado on the weekend. The other AL teams going to NL Parks. We had Detroit at Milwaukee on Monday, Tuesday. I don't think we really care about Detroit's DHs. The Angels are in San Francisco on Monday, Tuesday. I don't know how that's going to affect Ohtani if they're going to have him. I assume they'll have him play the field, though. And then the Rangers go to Colorado Tuesday through Thursday. So the aforementioned Chris Davis probably shouldn't be in your lineup anyway, but he's probably not going to play this week anyway.
He wasn't really doing that full time, was he? He's kind of like splitting the time. I know, especially now that Dahl's back, right?
Yeah, he has. I don't know, but I maybe they throw him in the outfield for a game, but he's such a disaster out there. He had that one game where he played out there and literally had a throw that looked like he can't throw a baseball. It's frightening.
It was really bad.
Yeah. So let's jump into Fab. That's what everybody wants to talk about today. We find after a couple of weeks of some players interesting, we finally had a big Fab period this week with Alek Manoah. Had a great start in Yankee Stadium on earlier this week. 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts from Manoah. But one of those guys that like passed the eye test too. Like I watched that game and his stuff was fantastic. Everything was great there. Just really, really impressive. How aggressive were you? I know you said you didn't get him anywhere, but were you like you kind of close to the outbid? Were you way outbid? He went for over $300 in both my main events and both my onlines. There's one online 12 team. I thought I'd get him. I was kind of went in the mid 2s to high 2s. I'm like, 12 team probably gets him. He went for like 424 there. So how aggressive were you, and how impressed were you, and what's your kind of your forecast going forward? Pitching obviously in a tough division.
Super impressed. I mean, I am a RotoWire employee, therefore I am super impressed with Alek Manoah, thanks to James and Clay.
There were a lot of RotoWire purchases of Alek Manoah I saw in NFBC today. It just wasn't you.
No, I bid on every single league. I put a bid in on him. I like you. I think I was more aggressive in the 12s than I was in the 15s. Was that a factor of how much money you had, or you just like pitching was good in the main events? More the latter, and Fab remaining both. Okay. So main event 1, I had 443 going in. So I've already spent half the budget. Right. And hey, we're not halfway through the season yet. So we're not. Yeah. We're a third of the way through. I have 56 pitching points there in that league. So I can't go too crazy on that, because and the problem is I only have one closer. I have Kenley, then I have Cesar Valdez, and we know that's not going to last much longer. So I know I'm going to have needs. And so we put in a keep him honest bid. It was like $99. The thing that stinks though is he only went for 145. Wow. I wonder if that's going to be the low in the main. You can probably look that up now. I know Spore is really good at digging that out. You can. He'll be on our show tomorrow, although I won't be on our show tomorrow. I'll listen from the golf course or on demand with the Sirius XM app, free for most subscribers. It went 145, 142. I could have easily bid 150 there as a keep them honest and didn't. And I kind of regret it. I think I'm going to regret it, but we'll see. The other one, it was a much more reasonable, but reverse reasonable. It went 282 in the other one. My onlines, I bid 201 and he went for 231. And the other I bid like about 203 and he went for 446. And then in Yogurt League, I bid 137. I was a run up to 175, which is kind of annoying. Dan Strafford got him there. I could have gotten him, but again, wasn't the biggest priority. I mean, it was like, hey, let's go for it. We'll get him if I can. But the league, I guess I kept him. The league was too honest, I guess is the answer. Yeah, I was the backup. I have the one main event where we talked about before. I have Luis Castillo and Zach Plesac. So the ERA and the ratios have been really, really bad. I went 264 in that one. I was the backup. I had about 550 or something like that left. So I kind of went half. I went half my budget is kind of my theory there. It didn't work. I was backup. I don't know. Maybe should have been more aggressive with such a bad pitching staff that maybe I need a miracle of a guy that's really, really good. Ailey scares me a little bit, but he was really impressive. So that was my one regret. The other leagues, I kind of wasn't that close or didn't really need him as much. But that was the one league where, looking back, I maybe should have gone full in on it. Yeah. So what was the winning bid in that one? 313. So it was still 50, almost 50 more than yours, right? 311. Yeah. I mean, that's tough. That's tough. I mean, the thing is, too, and we got a question. Fantasy Typhoon is asking for the next up-and-coming guy. There might be someone like that. It might be Max Meyer, might be Matt Manning, but it ain't it right now. Matt Manning's got an 8.11 ERA, actually, at AAA, so he's not anytime soon. Max Meyer's a guy in Florida I'd keep an eye out on. The other thing is, see if someone drops Sixto Sanchez. I mean, if you're in obviously in a keeper league, he's held, but in other leagues, you might pay attention to see what's going on with that. Meyer has only thrown 19 innings, so he's not coming up anytime soon, actually. Yeah, and I think the key with that is you follow the beat writers on Twitter, because the Manoah thing, I added him a couple weeks ago in our friends and family because you could tell the Jays were lining him up with the Ross Stripling starts, and it kind of felt like it was close. So it was just I think if you look at little things like that, you can kind of see when teams are thinking about calling guys up. But as we've seen with rookies, it's very, very difficult. Manoah looked really good. Shane McClanahan's looked really good, but Logan Gilbert was bad. Lynch was bad in Kansas City. Jared Kelnick's hit 129, by the way. I mean, it's rough. but he'll be all right. I think he'll be all right as long as they give him a little bit of a leash. But
and they will. But it's coming up and playing. It's tough right away.
Yeah, it is. I actually do have a name for you. Actually, right, Jackson Koar with the Kansas City Royals at AAA right now. He's got a 1.03 ERA, a .99 WHIP, and just as importantly, 36 strikeouts in 26 innings.
Wow!
So we're talking about a guy who has been dominant. Contrast that with Lynch, who didn't have a single AAA start. Gilbert had one AAA start and was just okay in that. And we got to be patient with all these kids. I mean, these guys, Manoah is the exception, not the rule, guys. I mean, let's keep that in mind. Sometimes you get the whole, we don't have a scouting report thing on them. We don't know what to see. The Yankees saw him in spring training. They knew what they were getting going against him a little bit. Maybe they didn't have like everything down to a T on him, but this wasn't like a total, we've never seen, have nothing from our scouts on this guy. They've seen him. And he just looked really good. The slider looked good. The fastball was good. Someone asked in the chat about dropping Logan Gilbert in the main event. I don't think you're crazy. From everything I've seen of his starts, I would have dropped him too. I just don't think he's usable at the moment. It's tough. And again, with the main, I mean, you can't use a guy in a 2-start week. I mean, it's really tough. I mean,
it'll get better, right? But it's just like you watch him, he doesn't pass the eye test yet. He probably will at some point, but if you don't pass the eye test as a rookie, like it's tough enough as it is. If you have really good stuff and everything looks good, and we saw McClanahan had a few hiccups, and once he got started going 5, it's been pretty good the last few starts. But I don't think you can use Gilbert right now. And Seattle's going 6-man too, which makes it really tough because they're going, you go every 6 days. You never get a 2-step. And there's a lot of times we're like, oh, my guy went Saturday. He's not going until next Saturday. I got to sit there and wait for him. And, if they get bumped back or get a rain out, suddenly you get a 0 that week. I just think the 6-man makes it tough to really
get 2 off days in a week. Okay, let's mess around with that. Yep. I'll say this about Gilbert. Tiny little silver lining last outing against our Oakland A's. He went 4 Ks, no walks, no homers, and no whammies. Gave up 2 runs, but it was slightly better. And now you watched that start, so you kind of get, obviously because you're an A's fan.
He gave up back-to-back hits to Tony Kemp and Elvis Anderson, so I crossed him off right there.
Yeah, of course, there. Yeah, such a cynic. I love it.
Totally kidding. I thought he looked okay, but like not like McClanahan made his debut against the A's, so I watched that start. And he's like 6
that passed the eye test.
6 pitches in, I'm like, holy crap, who is this guy? Like, this is insane. This guy's throwing 101 and breaking off a slider, making the top of the A's lineup look ridiculous. So you can just tell. I mean, I didn't know a lot about McClanahan before that start, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy jumps off the page. And if you're going to be good as a rookie, I think you kind of have to jump off the page like that because it takes a while. If you're not jumping off the page, it takes a while to learn hitters, takes a while to learn how to pitch in that level. It takes a while for the manager to trust you to go deep. There's a lot of factors that go into being a rookie pitcher that makes it really tough unless you just have that stuff that blows people away. Like Sixto did last year. We talked about Sixto a bunch last year. That first start, you and I both watched him. We're like, oh my God, this guy looks awesome.
Yeah. You know what, too, is there will be guys that emerge, but we don't know. We may not know who it is. We got to see dominance at AAA now. That's one thing. At least we have AAA to see.
Thank goodness for that. It still sucks when you look at guys. You're like, oh, I don't have any 2020 stats to look at. These minor leaguers, it makes it tough.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see another Zach Gallen emerge from somewhere.
Yeah,
who Manoah kind of was that in a way, but not. I mean, a little different because spring training there was the buzz about him. And one thing James Anderson's article did, and if you haven't. You see the headline here, the framing, if you're watching the streaming. If you don't already subscribe to RotoWire, go to rotowire.com/try. Check out Farm Futures with James Anderson. He did, when players got assigned to the levels, he talked about how Manoah was assigned to AAA and how that was a big sign that you should go pick him up when you can. I did so in AL Tout Wars because of that article 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Now, before I go break my shoulder blade, patting myself on the back, I didn't have him active this week for that first start because Toronto played on Monday morning.
Yeah, they announced it after that too. Yeah,
right. Now there were hints that they might do that. I mean, it was I could have taken the gamble and probably should have, but I didn't. Point is though, at least I have him for the rest of the season, and that's a call up that absent just Gilbert blowing up type of scenario, he's going to be with them for a while.
Yeah, I think that's very true. Let's jump into some other starters. Meryl Kelly was available in a lot of leagues. Was kind of the second guy that I went to. Started out with him in a couple of leagues. He was bad early. His last 7 starts hasn't given more than 3 earned runs in a game. 34 strikeouts his last 5 starts over 28 2/3. Just been really good lately. And he faces the Mets and at Milwaukee, so not a bad 2 starts on paper. No, his walks have been an issue, but no walks the last 2 games. That was against the Giants and the Dodgers too, like 2 really good offenses right now. He's just a guy that started out really badly, but is kind of rounding into form right now. And I think he's just one of those guys that's solid, not going to blow you away, but a solid guy, especially in a 15-teamer.
Yeah, he was on all my lists. I don't think I got him, unfortunately. He wasn't my top choice. Frankly, I was chasing saves this weekend. Let me tell you how joyful that is.
We're gonna get to the pitcher you and I both picked up, and it's one of my least favorite pitchers in baseball, so it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I feel a lot of pain on this one, but yeah, Meryl Kelly 2 starts, and they're good starts too. By the way, that gets the Mets. Yep. Although it looks like they'll be fortified a little bit tomorrow. We'll get into that, I'm sure, later too.
Yep.
At Milwaukee strikes out a lot.
Yep.
Although
Keston Hiura strikes out a lot, you don't say.
Weird, I know. And Milwaukee as a ballpark improves strikeouts. This has been something that's been suggested as well. Alas, it is against Brandon Woodruff in that start. So, and the first start's against DeGrom.
So no wins this week, but you might get some good ratios and some good strikeouts. But as far as 2 starts go, it jumped off a little bit as one you could probably use. What do you do? Speaking of 2 starts, what do you do with Tristan Mckenzie right now? He was awful to start out the year. Got sent down, came back up. Was good this week, but 5 innings, 1 hit, 5 strikeouts, no earned runs, but 3 more walks, and the walks have been the issue for him. It's weird because he has a 20% walk rate. Like it's crazy. But walks never been really a big problem for him. Even in the minors and last year, the walk rate is I think it was 7% last year. The strikeout rate's still really good. It's still 30%. It was 33% last year. It's really good last year, as we talked about before. 33 innings, 3.24 ERA. What do you do with Mckenzie right now? Because I have a hard time figuring out where the heck these walks came from, but they're very real right
now. The thing about him is, even last year he had a hard time staying healthy. He had a hard time. He was very inefficient with his pitches, I recall. And he had, he's a very thin guy, right? And just durability has always been a concern with him. He was on my list for bids. 2 starts again this week, although I don't like the first one because it's against the White Sox.
But I moved him down because that White Sox start. Like they just, I mean, I know there's no Eloy and no Luis Robert, but my God, they're really good. You gotta love Liam Hendricks week, by the way, getting three saves on the weekend.
Yeah,
you don't see a Saturday Sunday 3 save Saturday Sunday happen very often.
He made up that stagger pretty quick. After
he's a stud. I love Liam Hendricks. The dude's awesome. He's just an animal.
Yeah, a lot of loyalty. He's almost one of those pitchers that gets better with more work.
Yeah, he does. I still remember the playoffs last year when Melvin brought him in the 7th, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And then 3 shutout innings later, I was like, "All right, I'll go ahead and shut up."
And then pitching the next day too.
I'll go ahead and let you manage the team. We're good. So yeah, you're right. Came in the next day. It was awesome. But I love Hendricks. But that was fun. I was the same on Mckenzie. At Baltimore, that's a tough park, but you can be okay pitching against that lineup. But the White Sox won. I don't know, if you walk a few guys and suddenly you make a mistake to some of those dudes, you get ugly pretty quick.
Yeah, you do. So I did not get him.
Let's talk some more fab pitchers here, but first a quick note from our sponsors. So the next pitcher I want to talk about with you, Jeff, Alex Cobb with the Angels, came back off the IL, has been really good. 2 starts, 12 innings, 1 earned run, 12 strikeouts, 2 walks. It's been a weird year for Alex Cobb. His strikeout rate was under 20% the last 5 seasons. It's 30.1% right now. Like a complete and utter difference. He's throwing more splitters and less sinkers, which I think helps. The whiff rate's up on his splitter, up on his curveball. He threw his sinker last year 47.5% of the time, had a 7% whiff rate on it, like just abysmal. So it's good that maybe the pitch mix is helping him out. You watch him and like he throws that splitter. You're like, that pitch is nasty. Like I don't know how many hits that. Pitched well against the A's this weekend. He was available in some on lines. Did you have him anywhere?
He was, again, I had him on my list. I did not get him. I'm trying to think how close I came though. I'll tell you in a sec, but yeah, he was definitely a guy that caught my eye, especially because he also gets a pretty good start against Seattle this week. You're like, okay, I like that, but no, I didn't get him. Trying to see how close I came, but actually it's because I got Johnny Cueto who had the 2 starts this week, and Cobb's got 1, so I went Cueto ahead of him. But Cobb was on my list.
Everybody the Giants throw out their pitch as well. It's crazy.
Yeah, and of course Cueto's got. I think not only does he have 2 starts, but he's got two pretty good ones too. Yeah, he gets the Angels and the Cubs both in Anaheim. Okay, they're not great starts, but they're good starts.
Both in San Francisco. You mean?
Did I say? What did I say? Anaheim.
Both in Anaheim. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he likes Anaheim.
He does.
He's facing the Angels in San Francisco. You're correct.
It's the happiest place on earth.
It is. No, it's troutless, so therefore it is happy for opposing pitchers.
It's troutless, mate. That just sucks. And you got no DH there. That's going to be. I like those. I like both those starts too. I think that and the Giants hit Julio Urias this weekend. They hit Kershaw this weekend. Like it's crazy. Every time I think they lost 4 in a row, the Dodgers, I'm like, all right, here we go. And all of a sudden they won 3 in a row against the Dodgers. They won Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That Mike Tauchman play over the wall on Friday night was awesome, by the way. It was so cool. And it was like the play after Austin Barnes hit the 3-run homer off Tyler Rogers, tie the game. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe the Giants blew this against the Dodgers again. And then Pujols hits that and Tauchman goes over the wall. It was awesome. I'm obviously a Giants fan. That was great.
The effort for that play after such a deflating homer like that. Although as someone that has Jake McGee in the main, it was a very exhilarating homer because it was off of Tyler Rogers. Yeah, well, but we won't talk about today's homer by Pujols. But okay, whatever.
I don't know which is worse, the homer to Austin Barnes or Pujols. I don't know which one's worse, but neither one was great. But hey, at least Mcgee got the save. Like at this point, I'll take any save, no matter how it looks.
Yeah. By the way, Pujols, not for nothing, has hit lefties this year. I mean, that is one thing he can do.
Yeah, I think that if he can pinch hit late in games and start against some lefties, I have no problem with that. It's the Dodgers fans who think all of a sudden that he's locked in and this is the going to save their season kind of crap that bugs me.
You know, he's got 1,000 OPS against lefties.
That'll play. I mean, that's you can platoon him, you can hit him late in games, and that works.
He has a 470 OPS against righties, so
that's not as good.
Yeah, but I think So Jake McGee does throw with his left hand, so therefore it's allowable. And there's only 1 run of those 2 was earned because of McGee's own throwing error. So there was that too.
I always like my pitchers make errors to help out the ERA. That's nice.
Yes. It's a team player. I like that.
Let's talk about a couple of bullpen situations. There are a couple of ugly ones. We have the Royals bullpen. Josh Staumont. I always mess that one up. Say it for me. How's it go?
I think it's Staumont.
He is injured. He hurt his knee. It sounds like he's going to be out for a little bit. The quote from the manager said something effective. We're going to let him rest the knee before we even start to do any kind of rehab and bring him back. So I think we're looking at there's been no timetable set. I think we got to be looking at 3 to 4 weeks by the time that's all said and done. So Kyle Zimmer got a save earlier in the week and then came in the 6th inning today just to mess us all up right where we're doing our fab work. Greg Holland got the save. I don't think Greg Holland's good. His walk rate is insanely bad, 16%. Strikeout rate is 20%, so it's okay there. He has some experience, done it before. I picked him up in one league because I'm desperate in saves, but I don't think it's going to go well. I'm just hoping to maybe get a couple of weeks of lucky saves and get the heck out of there.
Both main event leagues, I got him. And
do not watch any Royals games the next 2 weeks.
I won't. It's like watching. Hey, if I had to watch Cesar Valdez for one of my main event teams,
that's rough.
Yeah, I will be benching Valdez this week. We didn't drop him yet, but. We're this close. So
that's a good question, though. Since you're talking about that, I assume you consider those 8 saves, even though the ERA is high and only 18. I guess you consider that a win for that pickup, right?
If I got all 8, it would have been, yeah. But
how many did you get?
Because I'm sure he had 1 or 2 under the belt.
So if you got right? five saves in 6 weeks, is that worth it?
Yeah,
all right. I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind the ERA is not great. It's like 5 something or 6.
Right, but that's so few.
That's
runs.
reliever like 5 something.
That's all his runs combined is like 1 Luis Castillo start. So you're fine.
Yeah, but this week was a reliever gombering basically.
Those are really painful.
Yeah,
especially when the guy's at home and you don't have the as long as they take the lead, he can't give up any more runs. When they're at home and they can give up like 5 runs at the top of the inning, it just gets especially painful.
Yeah, it does.
Did you look at Kyle Zimmer at all? I mean, he's obviously he was a huge prospect. He was the 5th overall pick way back in 2012. Throws 94, has a good K rate, 26.5. Walk rate's a little bit high, but still under 10%. He's been way better than Holland in the ERA. He's got 2.55 ERA. But once he threw the 6th inning today, I kind of figured I'd just go with Holland. But I don't think they want a guy. I think it's going to be a mix and match. But if I had to bet on someone to get the next save, it'd be Holland. But I wouldn't bet very much money on it.
Yeah, that's Kansas City is American League speak for Cincinnati,
which is our next topic. So that was good.
Yes. Well, I mean, they're managed exactly the same. Whatever strikes the manager's fancy at the moment of the time. David Bell's like the whole game was right here in this inning. It was the 6th inning, and he might have been right, but it's just like I kind of wanted to push back against the whole notion that relievers need roles, but then I watched the way Bell manages games. It drives me up a wall, and it's even as a Reds fan. I mean, I think there's something to it that knowing when you have to be ready. And we're friends with Brad Ziegler, right?
I was gonna say we know a reliever. I wasn't gonna use the name, but we know a reliever. And I've actually we had a discussion with him. I remember sitting in a bar. You and I talked about it, and he said, I'll do whatever I need to do, but it's great to know when I need to really be like mentally and warmed up and everything good to go. I think relievers like to know at least what like 6th and 9th is a way different part of the game.
Yeah, and it's sometimes earlier for the Reds too, by the way. And Brad used to email us trade offers in the 1st inning in our fantasy football league. He didn't play fantasy baseball, just relax, people.
Yes.
But it was his last season, so he was already out the door. He's a veteran, so it's fine. I hope I'm not outing him too badly.
He does a fantasy football podcast talking about fantasy football. I don't think you're outing him on anything there.
No, I know. I know he does, and I know he does the podcast. I don't know if he told stories about that, but regardless, you have your routine when you get ready. I mean, you're hanging on the bullpen. I get it. It takes a while. And as a veteran, you sometimes are in there right now. Granted, most of the Reds relievers are not super aged veterans either, though. Antone hasn't been around for a while. Sims has been around a little longer. Garrett a little longer. But I think it detracts from their performance a little bit because David Bell loves the mid-inning switch, the double switch and mid-inning replacements. So many times Garrett faces the minimum 3 batters. Oh, let's take him out of there. I know he's earned, he was that bad for a while, so he kind of earned it, but I don't know. I don't think it's great. I know I'm rambling here, but point is Kansas City's the same way. And they've already said that the pitchers need to buy into this and all that. They've actually had that quote.
So you're the Reds fan. Sims had 2 saves this week after I dropped him, which felt great. Antone had the save today. Do you just think we're going to mix and match all year? I think there's not going to be a guy. There's not going to be a guy, right? We can stop talking about there being a guy.
Yeah, unless they trade for Craig Kimbrell at the trade deadline or something like that. Yes, it's going to be that way all along. Antone pitched 2 2/3 against the Nats, and then they had Garrett come in the 9th, and then Sims get the last out. Yeah. Then Sims got a traditional save on Thursday, and then Garrett pitched on Saturday in an earlier inning, and Antone pitched in an earlier inning, and then Antone pitches the 9th today. It's different every time.
If you had to pick one to have in your team the rest of the way, I assume it's Antone.
Yeah, Antone's going to be valuable wherever he pitches because his ratios are so good. The Ks are so good. Matters. Yeah. Yep. And then if I were going to bet on anybody to get the next save for the Reds, I think it'd be Sims.
I think I would go the same way, but I think that if I'm going to own one guy, it's going to be Antone, just for all the stuff that goes in with it. You're going to get some saves here and there too.
Right. I think Sims will actually be good too. That's the other thing. I think he had 2 bad outings. One of them was like Sean Doolittle and let all of the inherited runners score.
Yeah.
And he tried to inherit some more so he could let them score too. There was that Arizona extra inning game on a Thursday getaway game, and it just really got away. It was so bad.
Sims has a 35% K rate. Like, you can kind of see that working.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about some offense. Christian Walker is back off the IL again. He came off and then he went back on. Now he's back. Has struggled so far in 2021. This is a guy that you and I think, both really liked back in 2019. He had 29 home runs, hit 260 that year. Really good hard hit rate, good barrel rate. Last year was pretty good, 271 with 7 home runs in 243 plate appearances. Nice hard hit rate there too. Hard hit rate's been down, but it's hard to really take anything he's done so far. It seems like he's not been healthy yet. If you have Walker, did you hold him? Did you try and pick him up in any 12ers this week? Where are you on Walker? I think he hit 6 today, and he was back in the lineup.
I saw him picked up in one league, and I saw him dropped in another. That's confusion reigns supreme. I think right. I'm holding on and probably actually maybe even using in one league this week. It's just in part because of just who we had. I mean, Shu and I really had a hard time keeping guys healthy. And one of our mains, we're going to be activating Peter Alonso. I almost said Christian Alonso. That would be weird. But Walker and Alonso are going to go back active, and we are benching we're waiting for Yordan Alvarez to come back. G-Man Choi is there if we need him in case one of those guys doesn't come back tomorrow. But We now have to carry 3 first basemen because of all the injuries they've had, which is kind of stupid and it doesn't work.
I had that at shortstop. It's crazy. I had 4 middles starting the week that I liked all 4, and I was like, this is gonna be really hard. I got to bench one of them, and then by the weekend, Story and Jazz Chisholm were hurt, and I had to pick up a shortstop. So my one spot I was deep and really good. I had to go pick up a shortstop. I forget who it was, but I picked up someone bad. I picked up Edmund Sosa from St. Louis. It's actually been all right. And Paul, I always mess it up. Paul DeYoung is out for a while. Sounds like he's still going to be out for a little bit. I thought he was coming back, and there was a quote this week saying he's not coming back anytime soon. So I grabbed Sosa just for some at bats in case Chisholm ends up going the IL.
He's on our list of contingencies too. Here, David Downey talking about Christian Walker goes. How do you think Walker's return affects Payton Smith? Good question. I think it is a good question. I think Payton's earned his time. I think he's going to end up mixing in some first base and some outfield. I think that he's for right now. I think he's earned his at bats. I think he'll play almost every day. Yeah, I think you're right. It's weird. Like Payton Smith was batting leadoff at one point for the Diamondbacks, and he still does. But the funny thing is, and he's got a decent batting eye. 12 walks, 34 Ks on the year. Keep in mind, it's 203 plate appearances. If you had like rookies that were going to lead baseball in plate appearances, I don't think Payton Smith would have been high on your list. But here we are.
And you're 100 games under 500. You're terrible. You've lost. You finally won it after losing 13 in a row. If you take a bats from Payton Smith and give him to Josh Reddick, that's just negligence right there. Like I like Josh Reddick. Josh Reddick is a veteran, but like you can't give him at bats over the rookie guy that you're 18 and 19 and 35. Like you're terrible. Josh Reddick got us through the storm this past week. I brook no ill words towards him. And he's the king of the walk-up song for you. Come on, where's your loyalty, my man? I like Josh Reddick, but 11 years in the league, you should not be getting over bats over your rookie.
100% agree.
When you're 16 games under 500. And I like Josh Reddick. I'm glad he got a job, but Ketel Marte and David Peralta can play every day, so it's really just right field. So I think Payton Smith's going to play most of the time. Then he'll probably mix in it. They'll play maybe there's some against a tough righty. They'll sit Walker and have Smith play first base. But I think he's earned his at bats right now. Yeah, I think so too. And Smith. I think I know Reddick had a good day today, but your point is 100% valid. 100%. And if they were 3 games back, I think veteran at bats from Josh Reddick maybe makes sense. Like I'd probably argue still for Payton Smith hitting well, but like where they are right now, like give me development anytime, any day over a veteran who doesn't affect your team at all next year. Right. Next month, even. Yeah, very true. I mean, Arizona's 19 and 35 after their win today. They're not even 13 games out of first place, and it's not like there's one good team in the division. There's 3. I mean, in part they're buffeted by facing those 2 bottom feeders. I mean, we talked about the Rockies' woes earlier. I mean, the Diamondbacks are actually worse somehow. Yeah, well, they just lost 13 games in a row. That tends to be tough. But I mean, they're legit dead. I know it's May 30th, but they're dead. As soon as Gallen got hurt, they were dead. Speaking of some pickups, our friend John Birdie is kind of back into playable mode here. Brian Anderson and Miguel Rojas went on the IL for the Marlins this week. Birdie's going to play. He's eligible in NFBC at second, third, and the outfield. He's not a great hitter. He's hit 170 so far. Did hit 260 last year, 270 the year before. I think the batting average will come up. He's fast enough. The BABIP's 215. Like that's going to bump up a little bit. But if you need stolen bases, a guy that's probably going to play every day. He had 17 steals in 2019 and half a season. He had 9 last year and whatever that was, a third of it. He played 40 games, so a fourth of a season. This is a guy that could give you, a handful of stolen bases over the next few weeks. And I know he's not a very good hitter, but that provides some value in fantasy leagues for sure. It does. He can stink at multiple positions, but he can do it quickly. That's true. Yeah. I've used Birdie before, and I think even this past week, it just doesn't feel clean doing it. But it doesn't. But you get a guy that can play corner or middle, so he backs up both spots. Backs up outfield too. Outfield we've talked about many times. Not very deep this year. I just think that you might slide him in there. He may have a 2 or 3 stolen base week, and that's gold right there. I mean, Miami's just short of being good enough not to be able to use John Birdie. They're about a season away. I mean, the thing is, you look at their lineup, and they've got some useful guys, especially when Chisholm's healthy. You got Aguilar. You've got Garrett Cooper can hit a little bit there. I like Garrett Cooper. I think he's going to. He started to warm up, then he got a little bit of a tweak, and I think he's going to end up being solid. Yeah, Starling Marte comes back. He's back. Yeah, I mean they were rained out today, so it's just kind of. But he did come back over the weekend. You're right. He came back Friday.
And then Adam Duvall can play a little bit. And he's actually pretty good defensively too. And Brian Anderson's hurt. They kind of like that. They're Alfaro's just okay. Yeah. But you squint and you can see a useful lineup in there.
Yeah, it's like good depth, not great depth, but good depth.
Right.
Speaking of prior depth in Miami, Harold Ramirez was an outfielder for them last year. In 2019, he's one of those guys that you weren't going to get a lot out of, but his batting average is tough. He's a guy who hit 276 in 2019 in 119 major league games. Really high averages in the minors. He hit 320 for Toronto in Double A in 2018. Playing every day for Cleveland right now. And we talk a lot about how outfield's really thin. Everyday at-bats are hard to find. He's played 74 plate appearances, hit 271. You're not getting a lot of pop out of him. He does have 2 home runs. But a 12% strikeout rate so far. He's a guy that's almost always under 20%. He was a little over 20% in 2019. 55% hard hit rate so far. Kind of jumped off of me. He's hitting the ball really hard right now. I think he's a sneaky guy that's going to play every day that won't be huge for you in other stats, but will be good for you in batting average.
Batted cleanup in the nightcap today against Toronto. I think that's an indictment of cleanup and not an endorsement of Weird Harold. Anybody named Harold now has to be Weird Harold, but that's just because I'm 50 now, so I have to make what Fat Albert references. You didn't get that one, huh?
I didn't get that one. Sorry.
I'm
not as old as you are.
Yeah, there's Fat Albert, Weird Harold, Mushmouth, all those guys. But
I knew Fat Albert, but I stopped there.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Okay. Yeah, his start's okay, but I think he's just going to go the way of the other fringe outfielders that Cleveland cycles through. He's
fringe, but when you get fringe and you get a guy that actually is hit for average in the minors and in the majors, I got a little bit interested there, and just because outfield's tough to find that fifth guy.
That's true. That's true. I mean, Josh Reddick, Harold Ramirez.
Yeah, I'd go Harold Ramirez right now for sure.
I think it's a toss up. I go with whoever plays more, and Ramirez should play more.
I think that's the thing is Ramirez should play. While he stays, I wouldn't say hot, but while he stays not cold, I think that he ends up playing. And just Cleveland is desperate for anybody to be decent there. That lineup after the top is really rough.
Give me Ref Snyder over both. How about that?
All right, I'll go Ramirez over Ref Snyder.
Okay, that is your right.
Tyler O'Neill, we talked about a bunch in the preseason. Wasn't available in many leagues. Shallow leagues probably was. He was 82% owned in 12-teamers. Are we finally seeing the Tyler O'Neill breakout until he gets hurt again?
As God is my witness, I hope so. He
has 11 home runs in 121 plate appearances. He's homer like every 10 plate appearances. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's using the interlocking grip to protect his finger a little bit more. And
it sounds like my 3-iron.
It's kind of it is a golfing grip, and it's working for him, and he runs too. And
4 stolen bases.
Yeah, I'm heavily invested in Tyler O'Neill, and I hope it works. The funny thing is, he was available in at least 3 main events.
Did you hold on to him everywhere?
Oh yeah, I have him in both mains.
Oh, that's a nice hold right there.
I drafted, dropped, picked up,
back up,
and then picked up in the other too. So, and I've had him, this set, but all I had him, I held him through the second DL trip. For the first IL trip, I did not hold. But yeah, I was kind of high on him going in. It's hard to find power speed. And then when you look at how bad batting average is, let me face the peril. I'll take the chance there. And
he is that batting average. So I just pick up Harold Ramirez and you're fine.
I mean, if you hit 220, if you have a player that's Joey Gallo, he doesn't hurt you that much unless he's hitting 150. Then crazy, okay, right? Sure, he hurts you, but 225 doesn't kill you.
Yeah, you have to adjust. I mean, granted, O'Neill hit 173 last year. He's hit 270 right now. 11 home runs, 4 stolen bases, hitting the crap out of the ball. 50% hard hit rate, 18% barrel rate's fantastic. Obviously, he strikes out a little too much, but 33% probably isn't what 33% was 5 years ago. I think that's pretty clear. But I don't know. He's a guy that. It's a matter of staying healthy. I mean, he's probably going to get hurt again. It's just kind of what he does. But speed power guys, I loved him in the preseason too. I drafted him a couple teams. I ended up dropping him, and I'm feeling like it's a pretty big mistake right now.
Yeah. The thing is, this year is forcing us to make tough decisions.
It is. Which is painful, but also kind of fun in some ways too.
Yeah, it does make bidding that each week better later on. But in one of my 2 mains, 2 of the top 5 rostered players were our drops. So I
had that in one of my mains too. I kept looking. I'm like, I feel like a dummy, but sometimes you don't have a choice. And like, it's just, what's great though is when you drop 100% owned player and like the next week he's like 12% owned, you'll feel actually good about yourself.
Yeah. But the worst part is when Vlad swoops in and picks up your drops. That's when you're not feeling great about it. You guys can talk about that next Sunday.
Yeah, that's right. You're gonna be leaving us. We're having Vlad Sedler guest host next Sunday. That should be fun.
Yeah. It should be.
Anybody else fab wise that you were super interested in that we haven't talked about before we get on some a massive news and notes?
I can't. Let me just look real quick because I was pretty active, but I'm trying to remember.
Well, while you're looking, who gets the next save opportunity in Arizona, if they ever have one? I actually think it's Soria, which is painful, but I think
kind of gross, isn't it?
It is not kind of gross. It's just gross. Yeah. But Stephon Crichton he's not good either. It's just
that was one of Vlad's swoops, so I'm kind of
that wasn't a very good swoop, but I think Soria gets the next stop.
Yeah. I got Jack Peterson in one of my onlines.
Oh, that's nice.
That was nice. I did get Cueto in a couple of places. And then I got Brandon Crawford in Yogurt League, so that was good. Happy about that.
Oh, I'm surprised he was available. By the way, Jock Peterson hitting 256. So if Brock Ness Monster is still listening, I'm about 30 points up on our bet right now. That's pretty nice.
That's beautiful.
I think we had 223 as the number, so I'm looking good right now.
What was our Yelich number? Numbers.
All right, the strikeout rate, I think it was like 26%.
I hate to tell you, but I'm winning in a landslide on that.
I know, it's crazy. And I think batting average was like 270 maybe.
And he's in 267 now, going into today.
God, his strikeout rate's 31.5. My God,
it was worse earlier. That means there's hope for you. But
it's gone up from last year. Like I remember last year, we're like, oh, I was looking like that's an outlier. We're looking.
But when he came back from the IL, it was 37%. Yeah. So
I think you gave me 26%. And I felt pretty good about getting under that. And it's as far as first round picks go, that one has been an absolute disaster.
How early do you take him this year? If you're drafting, if you were doing the second chance Memorial League, I know you didn't do it, but if you were to do it,
my name might be attached to one that's happening tomorrow. But
oh really?
Yeah, it's I'm not actually doing it. I'm just kind of being part of it. Oh God,
who are you doing it with? I think the people need to know this.
With Rob Silver, Matt Modica, and Vlad Sedler. We have a team.
God! How did you manage it?
We talk anyway, so we're just gonna we just put it in there for fun, and we're gonna have see what happens. Rob's draft. It's a 6 a.m. Western draft tomorrow or Pacific time, so I'm not gonna be very active in the draft, but I'll be active in pickups and fab and stuff like that.
It's a super friends. I know Rob took him at 5.1 in the one that I did, and I think it's a reasonable chance there. But
I do too. I think I'd probably go a little bit earlier than that, just because I think if I were doing a the second chance draft, I think I would take. Pitching earlier than all hitters who have sucked the first 2 months, I think would probably be my strategy.
Which is kind of what he did. I mean, he went Cole, Buehler, Kershaw, Diaz. I'm outing him right now, but oh well. He was in my league, and that's too bad.
I don't think he'll care. I think he'll be fine.
Yelich, Alvarez, Jose Abreu. You got Starling Marte. You got Springer, Torres. Took a lot. I mean, there's a lot of brand names here. Correa, Blackman, Goldie. That's probably
what I would do. Just I think that's. If you're going to go, value, I think you just do it all the way and figure a lot of those hitters are so good they have to turn it around.
Yeah, I took Trevor Story in.
So that's the start of our news and notes. That's the start of our news and notes. So that's pretty good. So you took Story. You're going to get no at bats from him because you didn't get to play him, and now he's on the IL. I'm actually kind of worried about this one. Right elbow inflammation, having an MRI Monday or Tuesday. The fact that it didn't, he felt a little bit better, make it feel a little better, but I just don't. They have nothing to play for. They want to trade him. They probably want him to get healthy. I'm worried it's one of these ones that's not going to be as quick as we first thought it was going to be.
I agree. Although they were, I saw them downplaying it, but they're also, they have a financial reason to downplay it. Like you said, they might be looking to trade him. You felt something throwing. Do you need to throw when you're a shortstop?
Yeah. I think if that was a pitcher, we'd be panicking right now because it's like the exact thing you don't want to hear. It's a position player, but like you're right, he has to throw from shortstop. And we saw that with Corey Seager a couple years ago.
That's the name I was just going to say. Yep,
couldn't throw from shortstop, and it turned out really badly. I don't know. I shouldn't make picks in the first round anymore. I'm just going to skip my pick from now on. I'm going to let team 15 go, and I'm going to make 2 second-round picks from now on.
Yeah, seems like a smart play there.
So he Yeah, he'll have an MRI Monday or Tuesday. We'll find out some more there, but I'm not super optimistic about that. Max Kepler went on the IL today for his hamstring. They sound like it's going to be a chance for the minimum. With hamstrings, I don't think you ever know. He was day to day 24 hours ago. Now he's on the IL, so that's a tough one. So obviously, if you have Kepler, make sure you get him out of your lineup.
He's been dealing with this for 2 to 3 weeks. Yep. Try to really stretch on a play, and when you stretch on a play with a bad hamstring, it doesn't work.
Speaking of dealing for 2-3 weeks, Kenta Maeda said he's past his groin issue, but now he's nursing a sore arm. If you read the rest of the quote, he said he's been pitching through the sore arm all year long. How the hell he has? How the heck do we not know about that 6 weeks ago? Like, that seems crazy to me.
You know why? Because
is Joe Girardi running the Twins too?
Yeah, well, that and reporters aren't in the locker room. They don't see him icing every day, and granted, pitchers ice after every start anyhow. So. But point is, you don't see it.
How do the Twins let him pitch through a sore arm, though? Like, how do you not take a start or two and kind of figure that out? It seemed, unless he hadn't told them, I don't know the answer to that. But I don't know. The whole thing seems crazy to me. Why he has not been good, and nothing near 2020 makes a little more sense now, I guess. I suppose.
I kind of feeling a little distrust towards the Twins coaching / medical staff. Yeah. I mean, you look at Buxton had another setback this past week. Ugh. Josh Donaldson's been on and off. Look at how they tried to have him play. I mean, granted, he's forcing his way to try to play. Right. And that's part of it. You have to trust the player. Maybe he said nothing to the team in the case of Maeda.
I was going to say, if Josh Donaldson said nothing, that'd be the first time Josh Donaldson ever said nothing.
That's true. That's true. But, the Twins had this whole baby Josh Donaldson thing in spring training, so he could be ready for the start of the season, and it lasted all of one play. And
one play, one double, and he was done.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, I feel I'm stammering. I'm so upset about this one here because I just don't trust anymore. I've been hurt.
Jesus Lozardo is an interesting player right now. The A's are bringing him back. He came off the IL today, but as a reliever, pitched the 9th inning. I think the A's are grooming him to be a 2 to 3 inning reliever the rest of the way. I do not think they're setting him up to come back in the rotation anytime soon.
I tend to agree, and I feel kind of yucky about it. I picked him up in my AL only home league because when someone dropped him, and joke's on me.
I don't know. I don't think it's an out of the shot thing that he ends up closing games for them the last couple months of the season.
Right. He could be another Antone, He could be 2 to 3 ace reliever. He can go up, max out. They're worried about his inning count already. So I get it.
He was throwing 98.6 today, coming out of the pen in the 9th. After Diekman, Trevino, and Petit, everybody else in that bullpen, I don't want any part of. So their starting pitcher's been good. Koar wasn't great today, but the starting pitcher's been really good. I think a bridge guy or a guy that can go 7th, 8th, or 6th, 7th, 8th, or even 7, 8, 9. I think it's really valuable the way they're set up right now. I don't know if they'll do it, but I think that they're really thinking about it. Because if you're stretching, if you're we're going to have Lozardo come in the pen to throw more and get ready for the relief role, you don't come in and pitch him for 1 inning in the 9th today, right? That would make no sense.
I'd agree with that. You don't make him a garbage time pitch while 2 runs down reliever. That's for sure.
If you do, you're going to have him throw the 7th, 8th, and 9th to get pitches in. If he threw, I don't know how many pitches he threw today, 15 pitches, that's not building him back up to start anytime soon.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong indictment against Sergio Romo and some of the other guys they added. But you know what, though? They built a bullpen on the cheap this offseason. They swooped in late on Romo.
What did they not build on the cheap this season?
Actually, although that's a little unfair because they also did Rosenthal. Yeah.
And that worked well. What does he have, 16, 17 saves right now?
I feel bad for him, but
I do too.
That's just awful after all he's fought through. But
it is.
Despite all that, you still have 3 reliable relievers. That's 2 more than the Reds have, or 1 more than the Reds have right now. But I'd kill to have that in some cases. But I think you may be right. And the only thing that's weird though is AJ Puck has been more like AJ Yuck so far in AAA. I mean, he doesn't look healthy, but on his rehab assignment, they optioned him after activating him off the IL this week. So that shows you where he's at.
I wouldn't. I would change strategy and direction with Puck from now on. I would make him a reliever.
I was just gonna say, why don't you? Yeah, maybe.
I think he could be an awesome 2-inning reliever, and I don't think he'll ever be a starter that can throw 80, 90 pitches every 5th day. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I think you know what, though? I don't blame the A's for trying first.
I don't either.
All these teams are better off trying to develop guys as starters, and when it finally doesn't work, okay, then you put them in the bullpen there. I get it.
I think it's at the point now. He's 26. I think he could be really effective in the majors, pitching 2 to 3 inning spurts as a really high end gas it out reliever, and I would do that right now.
Yeah, yeah. That I think that's the way I'd handle it too.
Some other news and notes: Victor Robles starting a rehab assignment on Sunday, so he should be back pretty soon. A lot of guys we mentioned earlier, a lot of guys sat the weekend. We have Ramon Laureano, Yordan Alvarez, Jazz Chisholm, Anthony Rizzo, Yuli Gurriel. All those guys sat at least Saturday, Sunday. None of them on the IL yet. I think we're gonna have a lot of news on Monday. Those guys are gonna be in lineups. They're gonna be going. We're gonna have guys going on the IL. Yeah,
that always works well, doesn't it? Yeah,
it never works well, and especially on Mondays. And I'm sure we have a ton of day games tomorrow. Lineups are gonna be crazy tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm going to be nowhere near my computer tomorrow too. So I'm going to be trying to do my lineups on my phone, and it's going to be ugly.
You might get divorced on your 50th birthday.
Oh no, I'll be on the golf course when I'm on my phone. So
that's easier. No. I thought you were doing family stuff. There are 2 games at 10 o'clock Pacific. There's 3 games at 11. There's a game at 12. There's 3 at 1. Yeah, there's pretty much games all day long.
Yeah, and it just. Yeah, it never ends up well with these Monday decisions.
Great for TV purposes and if you're watching games, but fantasy lineups and all these guys are missing games. It's gonna be tough. You got to make some decisions early that you don't want to make.
All the Monday holidays this year, it's crazy. I think 4th of July, if I recall correctly, is on a Monday also, which is going to be. I can double check on that actually. I can even look, but you know what? No, it's a Sunday, so okay, that'll be fine. But no. It's funny. You mentioned Robles. The Nats made a move today. They optioned down Luis Garcia, and I think it was either Mark Zuckerman or who's the other beat writer for that prominent Nats beat writer. But they're speculating that probably means that Robles will be ready tomorrow. So meaning Monday, which is funny because he just began the rehab assignment.
Yeah, he was actually available in my yogurt league.
Really? Jesse Doherty, that was the other beat writer.
That's
It's
right.
one of those two that speculated on Twitter about that. So keep an eye on that one.
I lost him 111 to 108 in that league, which was so the opposite of the Vlad Fab Whisperer is me.
But honestly, it's better for your brand that you lost because come on,
I
mean, you've been dogging Robles for years.
No, and
he's only been in the league for years.
I don't want him at the draft price, but give me in Fab, I will certainly pick him up.
I know. What do you think about your boy Laureano?
It's painful. I mean, their offense is different without him out there. I mean, you could tell this weekend they struggle without him. They say it's not it's kind of precautionary, so I think he's going to play pretty quick here. But I sure like to see his name in the lineup tomorrow against Seattle before I feel really good about it.
Yeah, West Coast game, so a little later on the start time. You'll have to kind of watch that one carefully.
They play at 1:10 tomorrow Pacific time. Yeah. Oh, and he's facing Logan Gilbert tomorrow too. He's got to get in the lineup.
Yeah, well, the only thing better is if it's a struggling lefty or something like that. But
that's true. I think that'll be the later in the week. They face I forget who they face the second game. Oh, they face Marco Gonzalez back off the IL the second day. So I like that one too.
Yeah.
Let's see. Brian Hayes, if you've been waiting for him, he is expected to be back in on Thursday, which is really nice. Kendall Graveman is still quarantining in San Diego, where he was when the Mariners were there. I don't know. There's no update on whether he actually had COVID or what's going on, but it sounds like maybe we get him back later this week, but it is very much up in the air there.
Yeah.
Who gets the next save for Seattle? Middleton? Montero?
Yes. It's whoever strikes it. I think if it's a 3-run lead, I think it's Montero, and if it's a 1-run lead, it's Middleton.
Kaz Sasaki?
Both, the funny thing is, I think didn't both get 2 saves this past week? I mean,
I think they did.
And that's also a team that is kind of built that way anyhow. Scott Service has already been that sort of manager. So honestly, I think that I think Middleton's got slightly better skills. Montero has more saves, obviously. He has 7 on the season despite his roller coaster season.
Yep.
We had backup bids to Holland in on both Middleton and Montero this week.
I did too. I had Middleton in the main because Montero was taken, but I think Kendall Graveman is just somewhere looking at his 0 ERA. He may not grip a run all year.
Hey, I mean, there are worse places to quarantine than San Diego.
That is true too. So hopefully he's okay, obviously, and having a really fun breakout year as a reliever. So we talked about Blake Snell earlier. I wanted to get into him a little bit. 7 earned runs today in 3 innings. The area is now 5.55. We joke about Luis Castillo being terrible, but Blake Snell's not that far away. The strikeouts are still really good. They're 33.3% heading into today. Walk rate's 13.9%, and that went up today. I think he had 3 walks in his 3 innings. Hard hit rate's up. Barrel rate's easily at a career high. It's 11.4%. Swinging strike rate's down from the past 3 years. It's still really good at 13.4%, but down from the last 3 years. If you look at StatCast, you look at Baseball Savant, all his X stats are blue. The fastball and changeup are getting hit hard. The slider and curveball are still really good. So maybe a pitch mix thing. But what would you do with Snell right now? In a 12-teamer, like if someone dropped him, would you pick him up for a lot of money? Like where do you land on him?
I mean, I think I'd bet on the pedigree.
Yeah.
At the same time, so Snell is to me as Robles is to you.
Yeah, I know. You're never the Snell guy.
Yeah. Ooh, that's Snell. That's all around you. But I
got that one.
Yeah, thank you. The strikeouts are there. You take a chance. You take a chance on Castillo, especially if I'm not already trying to protect good ratios. If I need to catch up, you take a chance on him. If I need, in leagues that allow trades, I'm trading for him. If I'm hurting in wins and strikeouts, I'm already hurting in ratios. If I'm like top 3 in ratios, no, I'm not. Especially whip. He's a whip killer. Even in his best years, he's not a helper in whip.
And the problem is that the wins are really tough now because he's going to pitch 5 innings. It's just, he's gone 6 innings once all year. He had that one really good start against Colorado, who's awful. So there's that. But like the other starts, he has a 5 and a third, a 5, and the 5. There's like 4 starts that are under 5. There's a 3 2/3 or 3 innings today. He has 1 win for a reason. He's on the best team in baseball and he has 1 win. Like that says a lot right there.
Yeah. I got to ask you though. I mean, they're going through relievers really hard and heavy. Can they do this all year?
I mean, unless they're going to churn through guys at AAA and just kind of bring guys up and churn through them. But I mean, they've got 3 starters right now that don't pitch 5 innings. It's like at some point that just you're going to gas at your bullpen at some point. You have to.
And I got to say, it's not all the pitchers though, too. It's the manager.
Yeah.
I think we
talked about that earlier with Musgrove, but you're right. He just yanks guys really quick.
Planned attrition. I mean, I know they've gone 6-man every once in a while to try to alleviate that, but that only just gives the starters an extra day's rest. It actually hurts the relievers, I would think, but I don't know. At some point, Weathers or someone else is going to have to be the long man out of the bullpen.
I think that's true. And maybe they want that to be Mackenzie Gore. Maybe they want that to be someone else. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, every time they throw Lamet out there, it's 3 innings. And that's once a week where you have a 6-inning bullpen game. And that just right there, you get anybody else that doesn't throw a lot of innings, you're tough. I mean, and Snell's been that guy too.
Yeah.
What do you do? How are you feeling about Anthony Rendon right now? He was 0 for 4 today, dropped his average down to 220. I know that he's one of those guys that I think he's going to get hot. I think he'll be fine. But you look at some of his stuff, the K rate's up 5% from last year and from the last, he was 13.5% the last 4 years, really consistent. He's 18.5% right now. So a pretty big jump up. Walk rate's his lowest since 2018. Contact rate is a career low, 83.5%. Swinging strike rate's up to 7.8%. Or do you have any worries about Rendon at all through 130 plate appearances? Or you just think that, some IL stuff, getting healthy and some rust getting knocked off?
My worries stem for, is he healthy? I think that's what I kind of get. I'm worried.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Yeah.
I don't think the skills have changed all that much unless there's some sort of physical thing preventing him from doing what he does. And that I can't tell. But I might be a little reticent to trade for him. If I have him already, I'm holding. Yeah.
I don't think you can sell him right now. I was looking, the Angels are going to have 282 runs on the season. They are the worst in the American League, and the only team that's getting more runs is the Diamondbacks.
That's not good. It's not good at all. What do you do about that too if you're the Angels? I mean, I don't. The prospects that are banging on the door aren't pitchers.
Yeah. I mean, I think you thought Dylan Bundy was going to be better than he's been so far. I think you hope that Andrew Heaney, gets hot again. Griffin Canning's been not very good. Has some flashes here and there. Mm-hmm. Ohtani's been their best ERA pitcher, but he just not a ton of innings, but he's pitched really well. Quintana's been horrible, and Cobb's been good. Like I don't know where you're going to find suddenly the guys who don't give up runs. It's kind of ugly.
Cobb's been hurt a little bit. And he had some rough starts, but has turned it around. Honestly, it's bad. I mean, they got the 6-man rotation action there too with Ohtani, and again, Ohtani is fun to watch, and I love how hard he throws, all the strikeouts, but he doesn't go deep into games either.
Yeah,
he's also part of the problem there.
I just think you're hurting yourself though when you're essentially taking away starts from Bundy and Cobb and Heaney to throw Jose Quintana every 6 days, just to have a 6-man rotation. I guess you have to do it with Ohtani, but Jose Quintana hurts you every time he pitches.
Yeah, although except for today.
Yeah, he threw 3 innings.
Oh, then he hurts you. That's a hurt then. Yeah,
and
I just saw 2. They only allowed 2 runs.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I.
And he didn't allow any. They were both unearned, but he walked 4 guys in 3 innings. I mean, that's not helping anybody. Yeah, it's just.
And then that forces some relievers to go long, and it forces you to do the we carry 14 pitchers and it's still not enough cycle there, which is just insane. They just
brought in, I think it was Jose Suarez today. He came in and threw 3 perfect innings in relief, so it worked today. But I don't know. Every time you throw Jose Quintana, you're just kind of you're giving away a game that could have somebody else in there. I don't know.
Yep.
Just to make us so Ohtani doesn't to pitch, but I think I would move the other pitchers around Ohtani and find a way, but it's tough. With off days, I'd find a way, but I wonder with guys like Bundy too, if you're an extra day and then maybe gets them messed up a little bit. I don't know. I don't love it for them.
Yeah. I wonder how much of him staying in the rotation is a function of promising him that so he'd sign with them in the first place.
Kind of why Andre Drummond gets all the minutes for the Lakers when he shouldn't.
Or kind of the way Artie Moreno signed Josh Hamilton, even though the baseball people told him not to.
There is that too. Let's talk about guys who are doing well. A couple more guys before we get out of here. Kevin Gossman is in the Cy Young voting right now. He's been so good. Apparently dealing with some hip soreness. He says he's been dealing with the last couple starts. They don't expect him to miss a start, but I think maybe they'll be a little cautious there. But pitched really well against the Dodgers today. 6 shutout innings, 2 hits, 7 strikeouts. Jeff, his ERA is at 1.4 right now through 7 innings. This guy has been awesome.
He has, and I'm sweating this injury a lot because I do have a couple shares of him, and I'm worried about that. Here's the secret of success for the Giants: find a former Reds pitcher, sign him, profit. It seems like it's working. They have Wood, Johnny Cueto, Gossman, and Desclafani. All have been Reds.
I forget Gossman on the Reds.
Gossman was. Remember, he went from the Braves to the Reds ever so briefly, but he was there in 2019, and they kind of used him out of relief. They kind of didn't, I think they were starting to do some things that was working with him, but then the Giants offered him more or something of that nature. Boy, I wish the Reds still had him though. That would be nice. It's funny. You look at his swing strike at the last 3 years, 13.8%, 15.2, 15.1. It's all started when he started throwing a splitter more. I mean, it's just whoever got with him and they figured out that he's got to throw that pitch more. It's worked really well. His whiff rate on splitters last 2 years, 49% and 48%. That pitch is just nasty. Well, they must have refined the pitch a little bit too. And not just having to throw it more. I'm sure. But K rate's 31%, walk rate's 6.5%. I mean, everything you look at, we talked about in the offseason. We tried to poke holes in it. He just looks really legit right now. And the Giants they're really good with pitchers. I think Pac Bell, we talked about last year. Was more of a hitter's park, and it's not quite the pitcher's park was. It's still a good place to pitch. And the Giants just know what they're doing. Everybody they drag over there pitches well. Man, I really hope he stays healthy the rest of the year because he, accepted the qualifying offer. He bet on himself. I mean, it worked out for the Giants. The Giants took a risk by offering him the qualified offer. Remember, people are like, why are you giving Gossman the qualifying offer? Well, turns out they were right. Turns out that he wasn't getting offers with that sort of average annual value by any stretch of the imagination. So, good for him. I hope he gets his 4-year deal next year. Yeah, and there was a quote after the game. Susan Slusser, who defected from the A's and joined the Giants as a beat writer, said that Gossman's positive he'll make his next start, especially with the extra off day this week. So it sounds like at least Gossman thinks it's playable. But what players ever thought they were going to be in there next week? It didn't happen. But he's entered the pantheon. I'm leaving him in as long as he's healthy. 100%, regardless of opponent. I throw him for 1 at Colorado right now. Put it that way. I throw him for 1 at the Dodgers, 1 at San Diego. I think he's an ace you just don't take out right now. 100% agree. Talk about Rich Hill. Rich Hill started out really slowly. In May, Rich Hill's made 5 starts, 29.2 innings, 3 earned runs, 34 strikeouts. Does have 10 walks, so a little bit high there, but has been really good. Overall, he has a 3.60 ERA, 52 innings. Jeff, Rich Hill's 41 years old, and his K rate's back up. It's 28%. Last year it dipped, and we were kind of worried maybe this is the end. I don't know if there is an end for Rich Hill. He just kind of seems to find a way to be good every year. It's a bonkers career that he's had. Good when healthy. That's always it. Super Blisters hanging around the corner saying, hey, Don't forget about me.
Oh, it's still there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and he had a little elbow barky earlier this year too, but as soon as people started dropping him, that's when he turned it on. It was crazy how good he was. And yeah,
he went 8 innings last start.
I know, against the Royals. He pitched well against the Yankees last time he faced him. Yep. Although that's recently, that's not as impressive as a feat as it sounds. It's really weird with the Yankees right now. I can't believe we haven't mentioned that this whole podcast. They got swept by the Tigers.
They just got swept by the Tigers. And like the first game was close, and the second weren't even that close. It's just, it's wild. I don't know.
Yeah, but you know what? That's just 3 days in a season sort of sweep for me. I don't think it's a sign of a greater malaise.
Weird things happen, and they just they need to get healthy, need to get guys going. But I mean, they lost Corey Kluber, and we didn't talk about him because that was during the week. But Corey Kluber's another guy that they're talking about 2 months and maybe see what happens then. He's a drop, I think, in every size league.
100%.
Yeah. Let's see a couple of the guys before we get out of here. How do you feel about Andrew Benintendi right now? A guy that we've talked about multiple times over the last couple of years, and seems like he's a little bit reborn so far in Kansas City. He's hitting 283 after today's game. He has 18 RBIs, 23 runs, 4 home runs, 6 stolen bases too. He's caught stealing 4 times too. He's been running a lot. How do you feel about Benintendi kind of getting a new start in Kansas City?
He's giving you a little category juice. I'm happy for him. I'm a little annoyed because, I drafted him the last 2 and missed out on all the good stuff. But, he was hurt last year also. So, last year's the one giant write-off. Funny thing though is 2019 was kind of perceived as a disappointment. He had a 774 OPS that year. He's got 728 this year. He's not hitting for any power.
It was that second round ADP in 2019 that caused problems.
Yeah, for sure. So for what you paid for him this year, you're happy, but let's keep it in perspective. It's not exactly like he's been great. He's just running more too.
Yeah, I'd say the fantasy aspect of the fact that he's stealing 6, and that probably has something to do with being on the Royals and kind of a different team approach, and everybody there runs. I think Merrifield stole his 15th base today, so they're running. And now that Mondesi's back, he'll be running too. I think a team dynamic does help a lot. But you look at him, and the issue with the last couple of years with the strikeout rate was way up, and he's brought that down to more the 2018 range. He's down to 19% right now, hitting the ball harder than ever. 42% hard hit rate. He's never been over 38%, which is always my problem with him. Like even when he was up there, he wasn't going to hit the ball hard. He now is. So I know I'm seeing a little bit more from him this year that I'm a little more optimistic than I was the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. I agree with that. And it's weird that they're lapping the field in baseball and stolen bases, and except for the Padres, I think. Yeah. That's without Mondesi.
I think the Padres have 20 more than them, and then they're like the head of the next team. It's crazy how many steals the Padres have.
Yeah. It's just a philosophy for them. Of course, Tatis is just out of this world.
You're right, though. Once Mondesi's back, they're going to catch up. They're going to close that gap pretty quick. It'll be them and the Padres, and it'll be a huge gap to anybody else.
Yeah, it's just different philosophies and different personnel groups too, for that matter.
I'll admit I was worried about the Tatis shoulder. My God, the guy's unbelievable.
Yeah. How about Edmund? We didn't talk about Olivares getting the call up. This is a guy
I was bummed he wasn't available in NFBC this week. I would have bet on him for sure. He was hot in AAA.
Yeah, because that's right. He didn't have it. Today was his first start. Yep. So yeah, he'll be a buzzy guy next week probably.
Yeah, I think people forgot about him because in 2020 he just wasn't very good, but he was 18 home runs, 35 stolen bases in 2019 in AA in 127 games. Like that is a fantasy gold mine right there. And it seems like Kansas City's calling him up to play, and he had 5 home runs and 7 stolen bases in AAA in 20 games. I know it's Vegas, it's a good place to hit, but he was hitting 395. That'll work.
So today Soler was out, although he's banged up. Michael Taylor sat to make everything work. Dyson actually got a start too.
Michael Taylor should not block anybody.
I agree. But
he's a good defensive outfielder, but he shouldn't block anybody.
But maybe Benintendi sits a game or 2 because of this. Yeah. Maybe Dozier sits a game or 2 because of this. This is just something to watch. Bobby Witt's nowhere near getting the call yet. He hasn't hit well enough to do so yet.
3 home runs today, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe he's a little nearer than I thought.
Someone asked me on Twitter if they're okay dropping him at 12. I'm like, yeah, no problem. And like the next tweet up was, did he hit his 3rd home run of the day?
Yeah, of course. So, hey, well, I'm nothing but 12 hours behind the news cycle there. So,
but I don't think he's anywhere. I don't think they're calling him up yet. I mean, they've been very clear that he's not. They're not. If they wanted to call him up, they would have called him up.
Yeah, I mean, if he goes on a tear though,
yeah,
he's that guy that's the hot call up all of a sudden.
Your dude Nicky Lopez is still shouldn't be blocking anybody.
My Nicky Lopez.
He's always your Nicky Lopez to me.
That's so nice.
Do you remember? A long 4 weeks ago when Austin Meadows was kind of a bum and not playing well. Tied for the MLB lead in RBIs in May with 27. I think he's going to ending up just fine.
Yeah, remember the Rays were a 500 ball club? That was fun.
Have they lost in like 3 weeks? Like it seems like
they lost to the Royals this week.
I think they're like game. I think they're like 15 of 17 or 15 of 7, something like
15
that.
15 of 16.
Jeez, even better. Great.
Yeah, they're good.
They are very good, and it's weirdly put together, but it just always works.
Yeah, and hey, trade away Blake Snell. How are they ever going to live without him? Yeah. Hey, here comes Shane McClanahan. It's coming right up.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. We talked about Max Muncie a little bit in the preseason. This dude's been on fire right now. He has in May he hit 341, 9 home runs, 17 RBIs. That was before today. He also homered today. The Giants apparently give him a lot of pitches to hit. 21 runs scored. This is a guy that very quietly is having a monster season.
He still thinks Mad Bum is pitching against him, I think.
Anybody that wants to talk some crap to Mad Bum is good with me.
You don't like it, get it out of the ocean or something like that.
Love it.
Love it. But hey, it's not the ocean, it's a bay. Okay. Great retort, guys.
Giants fans, what do you expect?
But it's funny. First, second, third eligibility. Yeah. I took him in the second chance league, and it got panned a little bit by my teammate, Chris Liss. But
where'd you take him?
I think 5th round.
Seems about right.
No, I take that back. 6th round, 6.3.
It seems about right. I'm trying to remember. I think there was someone that went after him I probably would have taken instead, but I didn't think it was a bad spot.
Was it Bregman or Lindor?
I probably would have taken Lindor, but I don't know if that's smart though. Like Lindor is not really doing anything to make you want to take him. But yeah, I probably would have been tempted just to take the first 2-month bum right there.
Yeah, and the thing is, I
don't want Alex Bregman on my team anyway, so I probably wouldn't have taken him.
Yeah, I started off bets with Story and Dever, so I had a little bit of speed. I love the position flexibility with Muncie, and he's going to get you category juice. He's going to get you runs and RBI too. That's what people don't remember.
In that lineup for sure, and he's walking a ton. His strikeouts are down, hitting the ball hard. I think you can completely toss out 2020 as just a weird 2-month sample, hitting under 200. I mean, the dude is he's just really good. He just 2020 he went back to his Oakland days for 2 months, and now he's back to Dodger Max Muncie. I'm not upset about that at all.
Yeah. If I going back to that draft real quick, if I erred, it's because I had a little bit too much recency bias, but I felt like everybody else was kind of going the other way. So
it's interesting though. Like, I mean, at some point you want guys who are playing well right now too. I mean, that does play also. And, guys who play well the first couple months don't necessarily just fall off. So it's right. Interesting to see what strategies work there. I think I would probably go most of first 2-month bums, but I'm not sure that's the right way to go.
Yeah. I don't know either.
Cool. Anybody else that you want to talk about? We've kind of gone on quite a while here. People might be bored by this point, but anybody else you want to talk about?
No, I prevent said boredom. I think it's a good time to end it.
Beautiful. So we'll be back next Sunday. Vlad Sedler will be sitting in the seat right there. I guess that way. Talking with me with Jeff. I can't. It's backwards on my thing, so I'm not gonna try again because if I go over 3, it'll be really bad.
Yeah.
But
thanks. I hope he's not sitting in this chair because it'd be weird. My wife would probably be really concerned. But
why? You're not going to be there. I told him we could use your house and your setup.
Oh, that's true. You got to take care of the cats. Good point.
Yeah, exactly. He'll take care of Raspberry and what's it? Snowball? Close enough. Everybody, thanks for listening to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, sponsored by WynnBET. That's WYNN Bet. Thanks to them for the sponsorship. Again, if you could rate or review the podcast, that'd be fantastic. Also, if you have any questions, hit us up on Twitter. Jeff is at Jeff_Erickson under his name there. I am at Scott Jenstad. No underscore for me, just first and last name. Thanks everybody for listening. Hope you have a great week. We'll be back at you next Sunday night. Take care.